What's up, you guys?
Hello.
Welcome. How are y'all doing?
Hi,
Good.
doing well.
Awesome. Well, first of all, before I start asking you guys all of my questions, I would love if you guys could talk a little bit about AV Trust and what your mission is and how you aim to help the AV industry. And that's for whoever wants to answer that.
Yeah, so I can
Go
go
ahead.
first. Yeah, so AV Trust is fundamentally a nonprofit organization. We've seen this done well in some other areas of the cybersecurity space. Kind of mimicking what others before us have done, creating a nonprofit third-party entity to kind of help organizations, both customers, people buying audiovisual, as well as manufacturers and integrators of AV systems, give them kind of a neutral place to both receive some information and some training about security, as well as have someone to kind of collaborate with no kind of conflict of interest situation, someone that can kind of just help them create a higher level of understanding and knowledge, and hopefully execution of cybersecurity standards, and make us all better at that specifically. We felt that was needed. Me, Colin, our other co-founder, Frank Patakala, have kind of been working at various organizations doing a lot of these tasks already, and just decided, hey, let's put a formal stamp on it and give everybody a little bit more of a central place to come and get help and support, because this is kind of it's a highly technical and complex conversation, especially in our space, and we can go into more detail on that. But so we're just basically existing to help people and hopefully get some information out there about what best practices are and how to make stuff better.
That's awesome. What inspired you guys to start this organization?
Actually, at last InfoComm, I had a lot of discussion about security, and especially around hardware and device security. And some of the discussions I had were very discouraging and a little bit frightening. I think as we look at where cybersecurity is going, especially with large language models being able to orchestrate, high-powered, very fast attacks, we can't really hide in obscurity anymore. If we show up on a scan, we become a target. And a lot of the sort of standard practices that we've had in the industry for years just aren't acceptable. They shouldn't be acceptable to us, but they especially will stop being acceptable to our customers. And also, if there's potentially a breach that we're tied to, that's part of it. So, it came out of that discussion. I talked to Doug, I talked to a lot of other people to start forming this, and we decided the best way forward was to start this organization. One of the big things that's key to this is we have a Secretariat Council, and if you've not worked with one of those before, it's basically a way for cybersecurity professionals to report issues. Some manufacturers don't have good processes for receiving that kind of information. Some of them aren't happy to receive that information, even though it helps them. And so part of it is creating sort of a legal shield and an anonymity shield in order to interface with that. And so from us being security people who are also AV people, we can interface a little bit better with the industry, give security professionals the ability to interface with us and research our products and let us know when something's wrong. And the best way to do that seemed to be through a nonprofit. And so that's why we started it. And then it sort of grew around that, because we know that we need to have education, we need to have events, we need to have standards. A lot of it, it's not even about us like writing things fresh. It's about finding best practices across IT, IoT security, things like that, and putting it forward. And I think the last thing, and this is something that's been happening in the IT MSP world, is that because becoming an AV practitioner doesn't require specific licensing, certification, or knowledge, we have the potential to become highly regulated very quickly. And that's already happening to IT MSPs, where there's regulations going specifically in place state by state, and in certain countries regulating that industry. Part of starting this and at least getting a group together is that we want to be able to have a seat at the table as we potentially come under scrutiny and come under under more regulation as time goes on. And those regulations aren't necessarily bad. I think they're good in that they can help put structure around what people should be doing. We can't just kind of have like on your honor system checklists of be good at your job, there has to be something in place structurally. And so I think that's probably a future step, and that's what we're kind of prepping for as well.
And as AV systems are obviously becoming like way more connected now, what are some of the big cybersecurity gaps that you guys are seeing in the industry today?
Yeah, so I mean, I think kind of upgrading or repatriating existing installations is going to be one of the bigger projects for people. Um, we kind of went through a phase of I've been calling it kind of like a maturation exercise in AV, where we've been kind of integrating more and more with kind of an enterprise network instead of kind of having all of it inside of a pocket or corner off on its own lonesome. I think the rise or prevalence of monitoring utilities and talking about like remote monitoring, managed services for AV, stuff like that, cloud a little bit. That's kind of driven some people to analyze their environment and say, hey, how do I get this stuff that was kind of air gapped, so to speak? How do I bring that into the fold? And the way that those systems were initially configured and commissioned and monitored was different and very specifically designed for that like kind of separated environment originally. And bringing those into a central networking situation usually requires a lot of kind of TLC of the existing configurations on the devices, because then you have to start managing passwords. You have to start doing, making sure you're doing firmware updates and security patches and stuff like that that you don't do as often when it's off on its own, right? And so I think some of the movement or restructuring of people's existing AV environments is probably going to be one of those weird, like almost migrations for certain customers, where they have to almost reconfigure and restructure a lot of how they're kind of setting up their devices in their environment, because it does require a lot of different things than just putting it off by itself, right?
Yep.
Where are organizations the most exposed right now when it comes to cybersecurity, and what are people overlooking, in your opinions?
Oh, so I'm not going to name names, but there are a
Why
few.
not?
I mean, do you want me to? I mean,
Not if
here,
it's gonna
all
get you in
right.
trouble.
Well, no, this probably won't get me in trouble. I would say that I am deeply disturbed by the prevalence of Link across this industry. I understand it's the cheapest solution. I understand it's something that is popular to use, but their extreme disregard for security researchers, for everything that's going on, you see it constantly. They're in the news all the time. They've been flagged as a threat, and we continue to shovel it into people's environments because the margins are good, or it's easy to install, or whatever. I think that kind of stuff, that needs to stop. Like, we need to have better things. Like, if you have that in your environment, you have to have extreme safeguards in place, because there have been there are current FBI investigations underway on data exfiltration by Chinese manufactured devices, because it's not just, you can't just look at the data streaming out. It will listen to, package, and hide data, and then it goes in and out with firmware updates, with normal traffic, things like that. It's very hard to catch, and unless there's trust, that's the biggest problem for me. It's like, there are companies that have built trust over the years. Someone like Crestron, they participate in the CVE program. They are, like all companies, like, they have ups and downs. They have good and bad products, whatever. We all understand that. But from a security perspective, they are well connected in that way. They are responsive when people talk to them. And then you have companies that are not. They either don't have a security program in place, or they've constantly been under scrutiny and have not handled it well. That's a big problem for me. And that's part of the thing that I think we need to openly talk about is, okay, who's doing it right and who's not? And those should be honest discussions. Like, I'm hopeful that at, Infocom coming up and NAB, that part of the discussion turns to security, to say, hey, how are you addressing these concerns? How are you making me trust you? And that's part of what we're trying to figure out here. And as we start being able to, like, part of this as an organization, as a third party, we can fund research into this. That's one of the things that's going to be really important, is hiring security researchers to examine groups of devices. So, like, wireless screen sharing devices, headsets, things that are common in spaces, Android based, PRs, things like that. There needs to be an audit of those, and then we can release that and say, hey, here's our findings. Here's how we figure out how to build trust. And I think manufacturers hopefully will be involved in that process. Some won't. That was part of the discussions at Infocom. Some people are like, absolutely not. I have no interest in this, which is, disappointing. But, honestly, you can't really stop someone from researching your product. It exists in the world, and it exists on, if you go look on Shodan, it's there. So yeah, that to me is, that's one of the things I think we need to kind of address head on early on, is that there are companies that have broken trust over and over, and they shouldn't continue to be rewarded by being put in customer environments.
Do you have like baseline recommendations for manufacturers that you do think are particularly good and are following not the rules but like the standards, like what they should be doing? And are those the manufacturers that are starting to work with you guys, or are you really looking toward TAA BAA compliance? Like, where's your baseline?
So, I mean, it's kind of multifaceted, because I'll say one thing, which is just, there really haven't been AV specific documented standards. And so, the manufacturers that are currently doing a good job are doing a lot of their own homework on, hey, how does this work for other industries, or what's already prevalent in the environments that my device is going in. The organizations doing, Windows or Android Teams rooms already have a pretty good playbook to pull from, which was, Microsoft and Zoom, and folks basically mandating what is required in order to get certification. That was part of what the certification process entails, with some benchline, security requirements. So a lot of vendors are kind of learning secondhand from other industries about that. So I think, part of our responsibility and our role is to provide a little bit more, hopefully some structure and guidance back to the manufacturers about, like, hey, here's what's required from you guys by a vendor for their software, but just as far as hardware best practice in general for enterprise IT today, here's what we would really like to see, as far as just like, this is the baseline, right? And to Colin's point, the companies that are we'd want people to trust. And when we say trust, it's really more of have a good working relationship with. I don't think anybody should just kind of blanket, assume that everything is going to be perfect and secure. Like, there is some due diligence that's required on the networking side, but the good vendors are going to be the ones that actually kind of partner with their clients or with us or with, their integrators, and kind of are transparent and communicative about things. The most secure or the best security companies or the best posture isn't necessarily the people that have no vulnerabilities ever, because everybody's going to have some, right? Mm-hmm. The good ones are going to be the people that communicate when that happens and what their remediation is, and they're fast and responsible about how they do that. Ignoring it is bad, and not communicating is bad, because as a partner, we'd want to help with that stuff when that comes out, right? So it's kind of the communication process where we want to see the most maturation, I think, because when those things do happen, there needs to be a plan. And right now, there really isn't, with most of the ones that we've worked with in the past.
So a couple more questions here. For integrators and for end users, what should they be thinking about differently today or now to avoid problems down the line?
I mean, I think a lot of it, like our initial push is going to be about education. I think it's like the discussion that there's been around like IT managed services and AV managed services and things like that. We've been talking about is like there's a shared vocabulary, and there's shared goals and standards. And I think part of it is starting to educate yourself, like getting into, just sort of like the baseline, security standards. So you understand our security certifications or things like that. A lot of them are free. A lot of them are easy to go through, but it gets you in the habit of having those discussions. And when a security person is talking with you, you can be on the same page. I think the other thing is that a lot of this kind of needs to start at home as well. It's like, we're supposed to be advocates for security, but if if you as a corporation don't have, a customer communication process, if you're not using password lockers, if you're not using secure ways to transfer sensitive information, if you're not protecting PII or even thinking about PII, if you're not thinking about disaster recovery and risk, those are things that you need to be doing at home, so that when you're walking out into someone's environment, you can go, oh, we do this. Maybe it's not what you do, but maybe this is something that we should suggest. So getting yourself in a security mindset, I think is going to help you focus because you'll see things out. It's like, the first time you do like a ladder training course and then you go out and you see someone doing something weird on a ladder, you're like, hey, wait a minute. I just read about this. This is bad. We should change that.
Well, last question I have for both of you, and that is where anyone can go if they would like to contact both of you after this or get involved with AV Trust, whether they are an integrator, an end user, or a manufacturer.
Well, we have an awesome website that Colin made. It is avtrust.org. It is very new, but it is a good landing point to kind of find our contact information. We have a donations page. Obviously, we're trying to put together more events and create more training materials. So definitely welcome to discuss that with anybody. And then be on the lookout for more stuff coming out. We've worked with a lot of vendors already about co-publishing some training and documentation. Kind of putting people through a little bit of like an AV Trust stamp of approval type process. And we're really looking forward to that. The collaboration is really important to us. And, we want to be able to partner with as many organizations as possible and just kind of help everybody get that information. So, but our website's great. And then Colin and I are both on LinkedIn and as well as AV Trust organization. So feel free to look us up, send us a connection. We're happy to talk to whoever.
Yep. And we do have a Discord server where we chat and people post stuff. Yeah, so we are building a community there. We are also looking to build out our councils as well to help advise on this. So if it's something you're interested in, if you want to get involved in education or standards or reviewing security reports, things like that, reach out to us. We're starting to form those now and hoping to have some meetings here soon, and that should be good.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining for Launch Week 13. I appreciate your time.